Vandeyam Shigara Shiyata Parakamalam Shigurun Vaishnavam Scha Shirupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parejana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shirada Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishkam Vitamscha Om Agyana Timaranda Shah Yanajana Shalakya Chakshurun Militam Yanatasmai Shri Gurave Nama Gurva Bistam Supurakam Guraganarasisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shirupa Patanugam Govindam Vidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Shah Divyad Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchanda Varanam Balarka Chilanshitam Sandrananda Puram Sareka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Sanatan Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishwara Shidaram Vanshakopatarubyascha Kripasindu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamananyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurata Vishay Namah. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is the Madhya-lila chapter 24, explanations of the Atmarama verse. Okay, the 61 explanations of the Atmarama verse, text 156. Kechit svadehantar hridaya vakashe pradesha matram purusham basantam shaturbhujam kanja ratanga shanga garadharam dharanaya smaranti. Some yogis think of the Lord within their heart as measuring about 6 inches. The Lord has 4 hands in which he holds a conch shell, club, disc, and lotus flower. Those who worship this form of Vishnu within the heart are called Sagarbha yogis. Now when Mahaprabhu is explaining the Atmarama verse to Sri Sanatan Goswami, he is mentioning all the different kinds of transcendentalists who are attracted to the worship of Krishna. And here he mentions the Sagarbha yogis. There are Nirgarbha yogis who don't believe in the Lord having form, and the Sagarbha yogis who worship Lord Vishnu in the heart. Evam haro bhagavati prati labd bhavo bhaktya dravad Dridaya utpulaka pramodat utkanja bhashma kalaya muhur arjamanas tatsyapi chitta barisham shanakar viyungte. When one is in ecstatic love with the Supreme Personality of God, and one's heart is melted by Bhakti Yoga, and one feels transcendental bliss. There are bodily symptoms manifest, and due to eagerness, there are tears in the eyes. Thus one is subjected to spiritual bliss. When the heart is overly afflicted, the meditative mind, like a fishing hook, is gradually separated from the object of meditation. Yoga ruruksha, yoga ruda prapta siddhyar, etina bede hoy chaya prakar. By these 3 divisions of advancement in yoga, yoga rurukshu, yoga ruda, and prapta siddhi, there are 6 types of mystic yogis. Arurukshor munayogam karma karanam uchate yoga rudasya tasyaiva shama karanam uchate For those saintly persons who wish to rise to the platform of yogic perfection, the means consist of practicing the yoga system by strictly following its regulative principles and practicing the yoga postures, asanas, and breathing exercises. And for those who are already elevated to this platform, the means consist of maintaining mental equilibrium, shama, by rejecting all material activity and practicing meditation to keep the mind on the Supreme Lord. Yada nendriyarteshu na karmas manasajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudas tadochate. When a person is no longer interested in acting for sense gratification, and when he renounces all material desires, he is said to be situated in perfect yoga, yoga ruda. Echa yogi sadhu sangari hetu paya Krishna bhaje Krishna gune Krishna haya. When a purified yogi associates with devotees, he engages in Lord Krishna's devotional service, being attracted by the Lord's transcendental qualities. Kya shabde apira arta ihano kahaya muni nirgranta shabdera purva vadarta hoya. Shashabdi apira arta ihano kahaya muni nigranta shabdera purvavararta hoya. The meanings of the word cha and api can be applied here. The meanings of the word muni in nigranta are the same as before. Arukrameya haituki kahan konarta etera arta kohilun Paramasamarta. The word ahaituki is always applicable to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Urukrama. In this way, the word ahaituki is always applicable to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Urukrama. In this way, I've described 13 complete meanings of the Atmarama verse. The 13 meanings of the Atmarama verse mentioned here are based on the following meanings for the word Atmarama. Sadhaka, the neophyte performer. What's happening now?
Breakfast offering.
Oh, was it already made?
Clinton's making it. I didn't realize she just got here.
Yeah, so then...
Only be 10 minutes or so.
Oh, but then how come the curtain's being closed if the offering's not ready?
You want it back open, Maharaj?
Yeah, I think so. You can close it when the offering's going to be put on the altar.
Well, I had hoped that this was the time.
Well, she just got here. When I started the class, she wasn't. When I started the class, she wasn't here.
Did you start the class? What? I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
Nothing.
Okay. Shashabde apira arti hano kahaya muni nirgranta shabdera purvavat arta hoy. The meaning of the word cha and api can be applied here. The meanings of the word muni and nirgranta are the same as before. Urukrameya haituki kahan konarta etera arta kohilun parama samarta. The word haituki is always applicable to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Urukrama. In this way, I've described 13 complete meanings of the Atmarama verse. The 13 meanings of the Atmarama verse mentioned here and based on the following meanings for the word are based on the following meanings for the word Atmarama. 1. Sadhaka, the neophyte performer. 2. Brahmamoy, one absorbed in thought of impersonal Brahman. 3. Prapta Brahmaloy, one who has actually attained Brahman perfection. Mumukshu, one who desires liberation. Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated in this life. Prapta Swarup, one who has attained his original constitutional position. 7. Nirgranta Muni, a completely liberated saint. 8. Sagarbha Yoga Rurukshu, a yogi meditating upon the form-handed Vishnu form and desiring yogic perfection. Nigarbha Yoga Rurukshu, one who is trying for perfection in impersonal meditation. 10. Sagarbha Yoga Ruda, one who has been elevated to the platform of yoga perfection by meditating on the Vishnu form. 11. Nigarbha Yoga Ruda, an impersonal yogi on the platform of perfection. 12. Sagarbha Prapta Siddhi, one who has attained the perfectional stage by meditating on the Vishnu form. Nigarbha Prapta Siddhi, one who has attained perfection by practicing impersonal meditation. Esab Shanta Jabe Bhaje Bhagavan, Shanta Bhakta Koritabe Kohetaranam. These 13 types of yogis and munis are called Shanta Bhaktas, for they render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the neutral stage. Shantaras is a neutral stage. Atma Shabde Manakoha Maneje Rame Sadhusange Seho Bhaje Sri Krishna Charane. The word Atma sometimes means the mind. In this case, the word Atmarama means a person who is satisfied by mental speculation. When such a person associates with a pure devotee, he takes to devotional service at the lotus feet of Krishna. Udaramu pasateya rishi vartmasu korpadrisha parishara bharatim hridayam arunayodaharam tata unagad ananta tavadama shira paramam punar ihayat samitya ya patandi kritanta mukhe. Those who follow the path of great saintly mystic yogis take to the yogic gymnastic process and begin worshipping from the abdomen, where it is said that Brahman is located. Such people are called Sharka Raksha, which means that they are situated in the gross bodily conception. They are also followers of the Rishi, known as Aruna. Following his path, they observe the activities of the arteries. Thus they gradually rise to the heart, where subtle Brahman Paramatma is situated. They then worship him, O unlimited Ananta. Better than these persons are the mystic yogis who worship you from the top of their heads. Beginning with the abdomen and proceeding through the heart, they reach the top of the head and pass through the Brahma Randra, the hole at the top of the skull. Thus these yogis attain the perfectional platform and do not enter the cycle of birth and death again. Eho Krishna Guna Krishna Mahamuni Haya Ahaituki Bhakti Kore Nigranta Haya. Being attracted by the transcendental qualities of Krishna, such yogis become great saints. At that time, not being hampered by the yogic process, they engage in unalloyed devotional service. Atma Shabde Jatna Kohe Jatna Koreya Munayopi Krishna Bhaje Guna Krishna Hoya. Atma also means endeavor. Being attracted by Krishna's transcendental qualities, some saints make a great endeavor to come to the point of rendering service to him. Tashaiva heto prayateta kovido nalabjate yad brahmatam upariyada talabjate dukkha yad anyata sukam kalena sarvatra gabira ramasa. The transcendental position cannot be attained by wandering up and down from Brahmaloka and Satyaloka to Patala Loka. If one is actually intelligent and learned, one should endeavor for that rare transcendental position. By the force of time, one attains whatever material happiness is available within the 14 worlds, just as one attains distress in due course of time. But since spiritual consciousness is not attained in this way, one should try for it. The transcendental position cannot be attained by wandering up and down from Brahma Loka and Satya Loka to Patala Loka. If one is actually intelligent and learned, one should endeavor for that rare transcendental position by the force of time. One attains whatever material happiness is available within the 14 worlds, just as one attains distress in due course of time. But since spiritual consciousness not attained in this way, one should try for it. So happiness and distress will come according to their own accord. They will come according to one's karma. But spiritual progress is not like material happiness that may come or material misery that may come, but spiritual advancement depends on one making an endeavor to attain it. This verse was spoken by Narad Muni in Srimad Bhagavatam. Narad Muni was speaking to Vyasadeva, who was morose even after he had compiled all the Vedic literatures. In this connection, Narad Muni advised Srila Vyasadeva to try to attain devotional service and nothing else. Sadharma syava bodhaya yesham nirbandini mati achirad eva samvarta siddhyati yesham abhipsita. Those who are eager to awaken their spiritual consciousness and those who have unflinching, undeviated intelligence certainly attain the desired goal of life very soon. Those who are eager to awaken their spiritual consciousness and who thus have unflinching, undeviated intelligence certainly attain the desired goal of life very soon. Shashabda api arte api avadarane yatna graha bina bhaktina janmaya preme. The word cha may be used in place of api, which gives emphasis to something. Thus it means that without sincere endeavor in devotional service, one cannot attain love of Godhead. Sadhanogar anasangar alabdya su chiradapi harina chash vadeyeti vida sashat sadurlabha. Devotional perfection is very difficult to attain for two reasons. First, unless one is attached to Krishna, he cannot attain devotional perfection, even if he renders devotional service for a long time.
Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj.
I'll repeat this. Sadhanogar anasangar alabdya suchiradapi harina chashvad vadeyeti dvina sashad sadurlama. Devotional service is very difficult to attain for two reasons. First, unless one is attached to Krishna, one cannot attain devotional perfection, even if one renders devotional service for a long time. Secondly, Krishna does not easily deliver perfection in devotional service. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Muktim dadati karichit. Srila Sukadeva Goswami told Maharaj Parikshit that Krishna readily grants liberation, but does not very readily grant perfection in devotional service. This means Krishna wants to see that a devotee is actually sincere and serious, and that he does not have ulterior motives. If this is the case, devotional service can very easily be successful. Otherwise, it is very difficult to obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This verse appears in Bhakti Rasamrita Tesham sadata yuktanam bhajatam britipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they come to me. Atma shabde dridi kohe darye jerame darya banta ebahaya koraya bhajane. Another meaning of Atma is driti, or endurance. A person who endeavors with endurance is Atmarama. With endurance, such a person engages in devotional service. Muni shabde paki bringa nigrante murka jan. Krishna kripai, sadhu kripai, dohara bhajan. The word muni also means bird and bumblebee. The word nigranta refers to foolish people. By the mercy of Krishna, such creatures contact a sadhu, spiritual master, and thus engage in devotional service. Prayo Bhatamba Munayo Vihagavanesmin Krishnekshitam Tad Uditam Kalavenugitam Aruyaje Ruma Bhajan Ruchira Prabhalan Shrinvanti Milita Drisho Vikatanya Vacha. My dear mother, in the forest, all the birds, after rising on the beautiful branches of the tree, are closing their eyes and not being attracted by any other sound, are simply listening to the vibrations of Krishna's flute. Such birds must be on the same level as great saints. This statement was made by the gopis who were lamenting in separation from Krishna and studying how the inhabitants of Vrindavan were enjoying life like saintly persons. Ete linas tava yasho kila loka tirtam gayantad adi purushanu patam bhajante priyawami munigana bhavavidya prayawami munigana bhavadya mukya kudambane pina jahati anagatma daivam. Ite linas tava yasho kila loka tirtam gayandari purushanu patam bhajante prayoami munigana bhavadiya mukya kudambane pina jahati anugatatma daivam. O good fortune personified, O original personality of Godhead, all these bees are chanting about your transcendental fame, which will purify the entire universe. Indeed, they are following your path in the forest and are worshiping you. Actually, they are all saintly persons, but now they have taken the form of bees. Although you are playing like a human being, they could not forget that you are their worshipable deity. Krishna and Balaram were just on the verge of boyhood and were entering the forest of Vrindavan when Krishna began to offer prayers to please Balaram. Sarasi sarasa hamsa vihangas charugita ritya chaitasa etaya. Sarasi sarasa hamsa vihangas charugita rita chedasa etya harim upasata te yattachita hanta milita drisho dritamana. Sarasi Sarasa Hamsa Vigangas Vihangas Charu Gita Rita Shedasa Etya Harimu Bhasata Te Yatachita Handamilita Drisho Dhritamona. All the cranes and swans in the water are being enchanted by the melodious song of Krishna's flute. They have approached and are worshiping the Supreme Personality of God with full attention. Alas, they are closing their eyes and are becoming completely silent. In the day Krishna went to the forest of Vrindavan, and at that time the gopis, being morose due to separation from him, were lamenting in this way. That all the cranes and swans in the water are being enchanted by the melodious song of Krishna's flute. They have approached and are worshiping Krishna with full attention. Alas, they are closing their eyes and are becoming completely silent. Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pukasha Abira Shumba Yavanaya Kosadayo Yenye Chapapa Yad Upashraya Shraya Shujanti Tasmai Prabha Vishnave Nama. Kiritas, Hunas, Andras, Pulindas, Pukashas, Abiras, Shumbas, Yavanas, and members of the Kasha races, and even others who are addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami when Maharaj Parikshit asked him for a description of the creation. When offering obeisances to the Supreme Personality of God, Sukadeva Goswami described the unlimited potencies of Lord Vishnu, who can purify the low-born creatures mentioned herein. Kim Vajriti Shabde Nija Purnatari Jnana Hoy Dukkha Bare Uttama Praptye Mahaprema Moy. Where am I? Kim Vajriti Shabde Nija Purnatari Jnana Hoy Dukkha Bhave Uttama Praptye Mahapurna Hoy. The word driti is also used when one is fully perfect in knowledge, when due to having obtained the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality Godhead, one has no material miseries. He attains Mahapurna, the highest level of perfection. Dritishad Purnata Jnana Dukkha Bhavotamaptibi Aprapta Tita Nashtarta Nabi Sam Shochanadikrit. Driti is the fullness felt due to the absence of misery and the attainment of knowledge of the Supreme Lord and pure love for him. The lamentation that accrues from not obtaining a goal or from losing something already attained does not affect this completeness. Krishna Bhakta Dukkahina Vanshan Tarahin Krishna Prema Seva Purnananda Praveen. A devotee of Krishna is never in a miserable condition, nor does he have any desire other than to serve Krishna. He is experienced and advanced. He feels the transcendental bliss of love of Krishna and always engages in his service in full potencies, in full perfection. Let's see. A devotee of Krishna is never in a miserable condition, nor does he have any desire other than to serve Krishna. He is experienced and advanced. He feels the transcendental bliss of love of Krishna and always engages in his service in full perfection. Matsevaya pratitam te salokyadi chatushtayam nechanti sevaya purna kutonyat kalaviplutam. My devotees, having fulfilled their desire by serving me, do not accept the 4 kinds of salvation that are easily earned by such service. Why then should they accept any pleasures that are lost in the course of time? So the devotees are not interested in any kind of liberation, such as living on the plan of the Lord, having the opulences of the Lord, having a form similar to the Lord, and sarupya, samipya, like opulence, form, association with the Lord, and like that. Different fourth kind of liberation, I don't remember. So opulences, the association of the Lord, I believe it is. Living on a planet of the Lord, like that. Opulence, form, and association. Rishikesha Rishikani Yasha Starya Gatantihi Saevadaryam Apnoti Samsare Jiva Chanchale. So if they're not going to accept liberation, why should they accept any mundane pleasures which are easily lost in the course of time? Now, in this material world, all living entities are disturbed due to their flickering position. A devotee, however, is fixed in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, the master of the sense. Such a person is to be considered situated in endurance and patience. Cha avadarane ihapi samuchaye dritimanta hoyabaje paki murkachaye. The word cha is for emphasis, and the word api is used to indicate an aggregate. Thus it is to be understood, even dull creatures, birds, and illiterates can also be situated in endurance and engaged in Krishna's devotional service. Atma Shabde Buddhi Kohe Buddhi Visesh Samanya Buddhi Jukta Jata Jiva Avasesh. The word Atma is also used for a particular type of intelligence. Since all living entities generally have some intelligence, more or less, they are included. Budye Rame Atmarama Duita Prakar Pandita Munigan Nirgranta Murka Ar. Everyone has some kind of intelligence, and one who utilizes his intelligence is called an Atmarama. There are 2 types of Atmaramas. One is a learned scholar and philosopher, and the other is an uneducated, illiterate, foolish person. Krishna Kripai Sadhusange Rati Buddhipai Sabachadi Shuddha Bhakti Kore Krishna Pai. By the mercy of Krishna and by the association of devotees, one increases one's attraction to and intelligence for pure devotional service. Therefore, one gives up everything and engages himself at the lotus feet of Krishna and his pure devotees. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvita. I, Krishna, am the original source of everything. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this, engage in my service with love and devotion. Te vaivadanti atitaranti chadeva mayam Sri Shudra Huna Sabarapi Papa Jiva Yadi Adhuta Krishnam Prayanam Shila Shikaras Shira Shikas Tiryag Janapi Kim Ushuta Dharanaye Te Vaivadanti Atitaranti Chadeva Mayam Sri Shudra Huna Sabara Api Papa Jiva Yadi Adbhuta Krama parayana shila shikshas tiryag jana pikim ushruta dharana jay. Women, fourth-class men, uncivilized hill tribes, hunters, and many others born of low families, as well as birds and beasts, can engage in the service of the Lord, who acts very wonderfully, and follow the path of the devotees and take lessons from them. Although the ocean of nescience is vast, they can still cross over it. What then is the difficulty for those who are advanced in Vedic knowledge? Vichara Korea Jabe Bhaje Krishna Pai Say Buddhi Dena Tare Jati Krishna Pai. Considering all these points, when one engages in the service of Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna gives one the intelligence by which he has Krishna gives one the intelligence by which he can gradually progress towards perfection in the service of the Lord. Tesham sadatayuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Satsanga Krishna Seva Bhagavata Nam Satsanga Krishna Seva Bhagavata Nam Brajebas E Pancha Sadhana Pradhan. To be elevated to the platform of devotional service, the following 5 items should be observed: association with devotees, engagement in the service of Lord Krishna, the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, the chanting of the holy names, and residence at Vrindavan or Mathura. To be elevated to the platform of devotional service, the following 5 items should be observed: association with devotees, engagement in the service of Lord Krishna, the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, the chanting of the holy names, and residence at Vrindavan or Mathura. E pancha madhyek swalpa jadi hoy, subudhi janera hoy, Krishna premodoy. One's dormant love for Krishna gradually awakens if one be a little advanced in one of these 5 items and is intelligent. One's dormant love for Krishna gradually awakens if one is a little advanced in love of these 5 items and is intelligent. Okay. So those 5 items that one should be attached to, they are to be elevated to the platform of devotional service, the following 5 items should be observed: association with devotees. What? 193. To be evaluated. I'm reading them. Oh. I'm just going back to read them. 193. Satsanga Krishna Seva Bhagavata Nam Braje Bhase Pancha Sadhana Pradhan. Okay. To be elevated to the platform of devotional service, the following 5 items should be observed: association with devotees, engagement in the service of Lord Krishna, the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, the chanting of the holy names, and residence at Vrindavan or Mathura. E pancha madhyek swalpa jadi hoy, subudhi janera hoy, Krishna premodoy. One's dormant love for Krishna gradually awakens if one is a little advanced in one of these 5 items. Duru had bhuta viryesmin, shraddha dures tu panchake, yatra swalpo pi sambandha, Shaddiyam Bhavajanmane. The power of these 5 principles is very wonderful and difficult to understand. Even without faith in them, a person who is offenseless, can awaken his dormant love of Krishna simply by being a little connected with him. Udara mahati jara sarvabhauma buddhi nana kame bhaje tabu bhai bhakti siddhi. If a person is actually liberal and intelligent, he can advance and become perfect in devotional service, even if he has material desires and serves the Lord with some motive. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kamo dharati tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one desires everything or nothing, or whether one desires to merge into the existence of the Lord, one is intelligent only if one worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. Bhakti prabhava se kama chanaya Krishna pade bhakti korai gune karshya. Devotional service is so strong that when one engages in it, one gradually gives up all material desires and becomes fully attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna. All this is brought about by attraction for the transcendental qualities of the Lord. Satyam disati artitam artitoninam naivartado yat punarartita yata swayam vidate bhajatam aniccatam icha bhidanam nija padapalavam. Whenever Krishna is requested to fulfill one's desire, he undoubtedly does so, but he does not award anything which after being enjoyed will cause one to petition him again and again to fulfill further desires. When one has other desires but engages in the Lord's service, Krishna forcibly gives one shelter at his lotus feet, where one will forget all other desires. Atma shabdi svabhava kohe tate jay rame Atmarama jiva jata stavara jangame. Atma shabdi svabhava kohe tate jay rame Atmarama jiva jata stavara jangame. Another meaning of the word Atma is one's characteristic nature. Whoever enjoys this particular type of nature is called Atmarama. Therefore, all living entities, be they moving or non-moving, are also called Atmarama. Shivara Swabhava Krishna Dashabhiman Dehi Atma Jnaniya Chadita Segyan. The original meaning of every living entity is to consider himself the eternal servant of Krishna. The original nature of every living entity is to consider himself the eternal servant of Krishna. But under the influence of Maya, one thinks oneself to be the body, and thus one's original Krishna consciousness is covered. The original nature of every living entity is to consider oneself the eternal servant of Krishna. But under the influence of Maya, one thinks oneself to be the body, and thus one's original consciousness is covered. Cha shabde eva api shabda samuchaye atmarameva hayash Sri Krishna bhajaye. In that case, by the word cha, the word eva is meant. The word api can be taken in the sense of aggregation. Thus the verse would read atmarameva, that is, even all kinds of living beings worship Krishna. It is here mentioned that every living being is Atmarama, temporarily covered by the influence of Maya. The living entity serves as senses, which are represented as Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. In the material condition, all living entities are engaged in sense gratification. But when they associate with devotees who follow regular principles, they become purified and awakened to their original consciousness. Thus, they then attempt to satisfy the senses of Lord Krishna and engage in his devotional service. Okay? Ejiva sankari sabamunijan nigranta murka nicha stavara pashugan. Living entities include great personalities like the four Kumaras and also low-class foolish people, trees, plants, birds, and beasts. Vyasa shuka sanakadir prasida bhajan. Vyasa shuka sanakadir prasida bhajan. Nirgranta stava radir shuna bivaran. The devotional service of Vyasa, Suka, and the four Kumaras has already been well celebrated. Now let me explain how immovable living entities like trees and plants engage in the Lord's devotional service. Krishna Kripadi Hetu Hoite Sabara Uday Krishna Guna Krishna Haya Tahare Bajoy. Everyone is eligible to receive Krishna's mercy, including Vyasadeva, the four Kumaras, Sukadeva Goswami, low-born creatures, trees, plants, and beasts. By Krishna's mercy, they are elevated and engaged in his service. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, wherein the Lord says, Mam iparta vyapasritya yepi shu papayonaya striyo vaishas tata shudras tepi yanti param gatim. O son of Prita, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, vaishyas, merchants, and shudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. Everyone is eligible to become Krishna's devotee. One simply has to be trained according to the approved process. It is the work of Krishna's confidential devotees to turn everyone into a Krishna Bhakta. If the confidential devotees do not take up that task of elevating everyone to Krishna consciousness, then who will do it? Those who claim to be devotees but do not engage in Krishna's service to elevate all living creatures to Krishna consciousness are to be considered Kanishta Adhikaris, people in the lowest stage of devotional service. Those who claim to be devotees but do not engage in Krishna's service to elevate all living creatures to Krishna consciousness are to be considered Kanishta Adhikaris, people in the lowest stage of devotional service. When one rises to the second platform of devotional service, one's business is to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world. Those who are active in the Krishna consciousness movement should not remain in the neophyte stage, but should try to rise to the platform of preachers, the second platform of devotional service. Devotional service is so enchanting that even the first-class devotees, Uttama Adhikaris, also come down to the second platform to preach and render service to the Lord for the benefit of the whole world. Danyayam adya dharani trina virudastvat padasparsha druma lata karana vimrishta. Okay. Danyayam adya dharani trina vidastvat padasprisho druma lata karuna jatayo. Danyayam adya dharani trina virudastvat padasprisho druma lata karajabirishta Nadyo draya kaga mriga sarayavalokar gopyon tarena bujayorapi yatspriya shri. The land of Vrindavan, Brajabhumi, is glorified today because your lotus feet have touched her earth and grass. Your fingernails have touched her trees and creepers, and your merciful eyes have glanced upon her rivers, hills, birds, and beasts. The gopis have been embraced by your arms, and even the goddess of fortune desires this. Now all of these are glorified. Ga gopakara anubhanam nayator udara Venu svanai kala badaist tanu britsu sokya aspandanam gatimatam pulakas tarunam niryoga pashakrita lakshanayor vichitram. My dear friend, Krishna and Balaram are passing through the forest leading their cows with their cowherd boyfriends. They both carry ropes with which, at the time of milking, they bind the rear legs of the cows. When they play on their flutes, all moving living entities are stunned, and non-moving living entities experience ecstatic jubilation by their sweet music. All these things are certainly very wonderful. There's a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam as Krishna wandered in the forest with Baladev, and the two of them wonderfully played on their flutes. All the gopis became very much attracted. Thus they praised the Lord's activities, describing how he was as Krishna played on his flute, all the gopis became very much attracted. Thus they praised the Lord's activity, describing how he was enthusing all the plants, birds, hills, water, everything. Vanulata starava atmani vishnum Yanjayantya iva pushva faladya pranata bara vitapa madhudara prema rishta tanavo vabrishusma. The plants, creepers, and trees were full of fruits and flowers due to ecstatic love of Krishna. Indeed, being so full, they were bowing down. They were inspired by such deep love for Krishna, and thus they were constantly pouring showers of honey. In this way, the gopis saw all the forest of Vrindavan. Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pukasha Abira Shumba Yavana Kasadaya Yenyeja Papa Yad Upashrasya Yayashrasya Shudyanti Tasmai Prabha Vishnave Nama Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pukasha Abira Shumba Yavana Kasadaya Yenyeja Papa Yad Upashraya Shraya Shujanti Tasmai Prabha Vishnave Nama. Kiratas, Hunas, Andras, Pulindas, Pukashas, Abiras, Shumbas, Yavanas, and members of the Kasha races, and even others who are addicted to sinful activity can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Due to his being the supreme power, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Agetera arta korilun arachai e una vimshati arta hoilam milija dui. I have already spoken about 13 meanings of the Atmarama verse. Now there are 6 more. Combine these, make 19 messages. I've already spoken about 13 meanings of the Atmarama verse. Now there are 6 more. Combine these, make 19, right? The 6 further meanings of the verse are based on the following messages, on the following meanings of the word Atmarama. The 6 further meanings of the verse are based on the following meanings of the word Atmarama. 1, mental speculators. 2, those engaged in different types of endeavor. 3, those who are patient and sober. 4, those who are intelligent and learned scholars. 5, those who are intelligent but illiterate and foolish. And 6, those who are conscious of their eternal servitorship to Krishna. E unisha arta korilu ageshuna ar atma shabde deho kohe shariartatar. I have already explained the 19 different meanings. Now, please hear further meanings. The word atma also refers to the body, and this can be taken in 4 ways. Okay. Deharami dehe bhaje, deho pari brahma, satsange seha, kore krishnara bhajana. One in the bodily conception worships one's own body as Brahman, but when one comes in contact with a devotee, he gives up this mistaken idea and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. So I'm going to stop here for today, and we'll continue tomorrow. So Devaki hasn't come yet, huh?
She won't come till noon.
Oh, okay.
I think she does the noon and the 4.
Okay. Hariharaya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Hariharaya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jahoite Vignana Shabista Puran. Jahoite Vignana Shabista Puran. H.I. Gosai Jarmui Taradas. H.I. Gosai Jarmui Taradas. Tasabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras. Tasabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras. Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Janame Janame More Abilas. Janame Janame More Abilas. H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas. H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyash. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyash. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodas. Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamodas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Jo Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhattaragana Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattacharya Ragana Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai, Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Vishwavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Sri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai, Aparshada Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Saparshada Srimad Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Sri Kuladvip Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Sri Vrindavan Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan, Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki.
Yeah.